What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Blazers Tankrise post-game show. The Blazers continue their tank tonight, Eric, losing by 30 on a nationally televised game to the Phoenix Suns, 120-90. This game was not fun. All right, let's just call it what it is. This game was absolutely not fun. This game was kind of brutal. This game was definitely rough, unless you wanted the Blazers to lose, which I think a lot of us are at this point in time. This was a game that the Blazers looked competitive in the first quarter, so that bench unit in the first half actually played surprisingly well, and then after that, it was downhill. The Suns just blitz Anthony Simons all game, don't let him get going at all, didn't let him even breathe out there on the court tonight, and this was a well-coached Suns team without their two best players in Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but they got a lot of good role players. That's why they're such a good team. That's why they are the first team to 50 wins with this win tonight, and the Blazers end up falling to 25 and 37. We reacted to the game live on Valley Podcast. Those are our Suns fan friends, and we got to experience this beautiful basketball game with them, so shout out to those guys for having us. Go check them out if you haven't. They're extremely entertaining. So me and Eric have already been talking about this game, but Eric, where do you even want to start with this one? It was definitely ugly. Is there any positives? What are your thoughts?
Not a lot of positives, but I don't think it's like negative either. I think it's just kind of weird. This is what happens when you have, 11 out of your 12 guys that weren't even expected to be in a rotation this year. And unfortunately, this is probably going to be the type of games we're watching from now on. I think the recipe we saw for stopping Simons from the last game is just to blitz him and double team him in any pick and roll situation. So he's going to have to create one-on-one and face numerous defenders on his way to the basket. And we just don't have the people to make him pay for doing that kind of defense on him. So unfortunately, he's going to be kind of neutralized a little bit the rest of the year with defenses throwing so many players on him as we're used to with Dame. So I just think this is going to be a lot of what it looks like. And I'm hoping that, it looks like this against some of the bad teams. I think we might be bad enough to possibly make that work.
Yeah, we play the San Antonio Spurs 3 times later on in the rest of the season, 3 times in the final 20 games. They are currently a game worse than us. So if we can be bad enough, then that might be good enough for us to pass them in the lottery odds. I mean, that's really what we're looking at. I said this during the game. It's kind of... I couldn't take multiple seasons of this. Especially doing the channel and everything I do, covering the team, I couldn't take multiple seasons of this. It would be very, very difficult, especially if you kept getting screwed in the lottery and whatnot. But for hopefully just a season, I don't know, it's just a completely different position than I've been in before as a Blazer fan, at least as a diehard Blazer fan that pays attention as much as I do. It's completely fresh to me just going into every game knowing that we're probably going to get crushed, rooting for us to get beat, and just looking at the lottery standings. In a couple prior seasons, there's been times early on the season where we started slow, and you're looking at the lottery, and it's like, oh, wow, we'd be 8th. We'd have a chance at this guy, at that guy. And then we always make it up. That's obviously not going to happen. We talked about it as if there was a chance after the 4-game winning streak as we headed into the All-Star break, but obviously without Yusuf Nurkic and without Justice Winslow, this team is just not good. Josh Hart isn't keeping up the hot shooting that he did the first couple of games. I think the honeymoon phase with him is over. We'll talk about him when we get to his player card, of course. And it's just a situation where the Blazers do have an easier schedule later on in the season, but they really might be bad enough to lose some of those games for sure.
And that was the design, I guess, right? That's what they were hoping for, and that's why we're sitting Nurk. That's why Winslow's not playing. That's why Dame has no chance of coming back. That's why we traded away so many players. It's just, we wanted this to happen, right? And we were probably looking at a situation where they were a little bit worried with that 4-game win streak that we're still not bad enough but I think now we are.
Yeah,
I mean, we're starting CJLB at the 4,
dude, it's so hard to come in here and do what we normally do, talking about a freaking basketball game in a game like this.
Well, as Aeromancer says, Tori, that's why there's no Kings Uprise.
Yeah, facts, actually.
Can you imagine that? Like, you hadn't made the playoffs since, what, like 2004 or something
dude,
like
they're
that?
okay. The Kings are pissing me off because we need them to win, right?
Yeah.
We want better lottery odds than they have, and they're currently 3 games worse than us, and they can't win a freaking game. So the Kings are already pissing me off. I couldn't imagine being a Kings fan for multiple seasons in a row. It would be very rough. So, dude, let's just look at the Tankathon early tonight. Let me get it set up. I am absolutely down to look at it early tonight. By the way, everybody that's here anyways, despite this team being absolute garbage, that's still supporting us even in a tanking season, you guys are the real ones. Because it's definitely, it's definitely a lot quieter in here in a season like this. So we appreciate you very, very much. What's up, Cole? What's up, Jared? Thank you, Chris S. $5 dono. He says, imagine being such a good coach that you get told you can't play Justice Winslow in case your team wins. Yeah, we'll see if he returns at some point. But the Achilles thing just seemingly came out of nowhere after an 8-day break. So, this team is obviously trying to lose games. There's no question about it. And it's very obvious. And this is what it feels like to be a tanking team.
Yeah, between Achilles, foot, plantar fasciitis, and maybe a hamstring soreness or like back spasms. We're probably going to see several of those the rest of the season.
Yep, for better or worse. Probably for better, and it's just, yeah. It's at the point where, man, I'm ready for this, just being honest here, I'm ready for the season to be over. I'm ready for the draft lottery. Hopefully we get lucky. There's going to be a lot of things to cover in the offseason. It's just, games like this are very, very brutal. So let's just hop straight into the Tankathon. Let's have some fun with this. And dream of better days, Eric. Dream of better days. So Portland was in a tie with New Orleans before today and was in a tie with New York. They're still tied with New York. New York lost today. Portland lost today. New Orleans won their 3rd in a row. Okay, so Portland is now in an 8-9 tie instead of an 8-9-10 tie, which means their percentages for top 4 pick go up from 20% to 23%. They would be like 28%, I believe, if they were alone in 8th. So, got to try and climb their way up. San Antonio's only a game worse. So 7th is very achievable with us having 3 matchups against the Spurs later on in the season. Lose 2 of those 3, and that makes up that game difference there. If we can get 7 on our own, that's 32% chance of top 4. I mean, that each rung goes up about 5 or 6%. And that's, might not seem like much, but if you can gain 2 or 3 spots here, you go from 23% right now to 32%, 37%. That's a huge increase in odds. So definitely rooting for losses here. I am worried about New Orleans making the playoffs, though, Eric. Are you? Is that me overreacting to this 3-game winning streak?
But I mean, they'd have to beat the Lakers or whoever's in that game, and then they'd have to beat the loser of the other game. So they'd have to still win 2 games. But I mean, it's possible. If they get in that plan, anything can happen. But that's why we need San Antonio to beat us all 3 games and pass them. That's the best case scenario, I think, is if San Antonio gets 10th and New Orleans stays in that 8-9 range.
Yeah, that would be the best case scenario. I don't really expect it to happen. What if Cronin's big brain move was to make the Clippers better so that in case the Pelicans play them in like an 8-9 play-in to get into the playoffs, the Clippers could take care of business and we could keep the Pelicans pick? What if that was the big brain move, Eric?
Well, what happens if the Clippers win in the play-in, then their first one?
I don't think they're good enough to beat. I think I would take Minnesota right now. They're just good enough to beat the Pelicans. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in Minnesota.
Well, at some point, they might consider bringing Kawhi back.
Yeah. And Paul George sounds like he's going to be back before the end of the season. So actually, that could be. I guess I shouldn't be too worried. But the Pelicans, I think, could beat Minnesota. That's the problem here. It's going to be hard for the Pelicans to make it. And here's the good news, is the Pelicans are 6 games out of the 8th playing spot. So it's going to be, and they don't have an easy schedule the rest of the way. So it's going to be hard for them to get to an 8 or 7 seed. So they're going to have to win 2 playing games. And that's going to be against like LeBron and the Lakers. He's probably going to get calls and go try hard. And, it's LeBron in a playoff situation. And it's the New Orleans Pelicans. But I mean, they could get Zion back by the end of the year. And who knows what he looks like, but he's still, that's still an upgrade over what they have right now. So if they get him back, I'm worried about the Clippers beating Minnesota. I think New Orleans could beat the Lakers in Minnesota. If the Clippers have Paul George back, I think that's the best team out of the bunch. It's just a weird situation with the play-in. We wouldn't even be stressing without the play-in, Eric.
Yeah, man. Although, I mean, this is going to sound dumb, but the Lakers in a play-in game against New Orleans with Anthony Davis back, hopefully. I mean, I don't want to root for the Lakers. We might joke about me wanting to root for the Lakers, but in that situation, we'd absolutely want
Yeah, you're rooting for the Blazers, basically, by rooting for the Lakers.
Root for the Lakers. So, I mean, that'd be tough for New Orleans to go into L.A., and beat LeBron and AD in a 1-game scenario.
But here's the problem. They might not have to go into LA.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The Lakers are...
Well, it's not like New Orleans has a good home court advantage.
Dude, the Lakers are only 2.5 games better than us. For as crappy as our season has been, the Lakers are only 2.5 games better than us.
Yeah.
It's comical. So, Sacramento can't win.
And some idiots... Eric picked them to win the West this year.
Yeah, yikes. Zach was the only one on top of that, had them as 8th, and he was still too high on them, apparently. But actually, Sacramento's won 4 of their last 10. It seems like Sacramento loses every game, but they've only lost 1 in a row. I think they beat a bad team. I forget who for their win. But they are 3 games better than us for 6th. Indiana won. They are 4 games better than us. OKC also won. They're only 5 games better than us. They are 4th.
Oh, man. We played them twice still, I think. Right?
Yeah, so if you can lose both those games to OKC, that would put us only 3 back. So the Blazers need to be as bad as possible, lose as many games as possible. Like, I'm not going to beat around the bush. You're rooting for the Blazers to lose at this point.
Can you imagine going into the season that we'd be rooting to get swept by OKC?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, but it's what a tank is. Anyway, let's do a lottery sim, and then we'll do one. We haven't had good luck in this, okay, on post-game shows, so we're going to do 2 today.
The best case scenario before you scroll up is...
I'm going to reset it.
Is for us to get...
the 10th pick from New Orleans and then a top 3 pick.
No one from 11 to 14 moves up, and then we move up.
Well, no one from 10 to 14, because you want this New Orleans pick.
Well, yeah, I mean, we want to be 10, but we don't want New Orleans to fall any lower.
Yeah, facts. All right. We'll do a lottery sim, and then we'll do one later on in around the NBA. Just to give us 2 chances, because we haven't had any sort of luck on post-game shows, so we're rooting, fingers crossed, for some luck here. Charlotte at 14, Atlanta, Washington. New Orleans moves down, all right? So, I mean, at least they didn't move up.
Yeah.
Would you be happy with this on draft lottery night if you saw New Orleans down 1? And
I mean, because the guy really wants Harry Easton, I don't think is going to go in the top 10 anyway, so I think 11's fine to get him there.
Moment of truth, is our pick at 10 or is it another team's? It is our pick. But 10 and 11, at least we get both lottery picks. San Antonio moves down too, so a couple teams get lucky. It's just not us. Unfortunately, we can't get lucky. New York moves up, and then, the other pick that moved up is the Lakers pick to the Pelicans.
New Orleans, yeah.
So OKC 7, Houston 6, Orlando 5. At 4, you got the Pelicans via the Lakers. So they get like Jaden Ivey or Johnny Davis. 3, Indiana. 2 is New York. And then 1 is Detroit. All right, we'll do one later on in the stream. Hopefully we can get lucky for the Blazers. This would be... I portrayed it this way. There's 4 different scenarios for the draft lottery for the Blazers, okay? There's bad, there's okay, there's good, and there's great, okay? Bad is our pick doesn't move up, and the Pelicans either make the playoffs or their pick moves up, so we don't get the Pelicans pick, and our pick doesn't move up into the top 4, okay? Mm-hmm. The okay scenario would be our pick doesn't move up, but then we also get the Pelicans pick and we get like the 10th and 11th picks. So that lottery sim would be the okay scenario. The good scenario would be if our pick moves up into the top 4, but then we lose the Pelicans pick. Maybe they also move up into the top 4, or more likely they make the playoffs. That is still a better scenario than having 10 or 11, because I would trade 10 and 11 for 4. I would trade 10 and 11 for 3. So if we can move up into the top 3 or 4, that's a good scenario even if we lose the Pelicans pick. The great scenario would obviously be the Blazers pick moving into the top 4 and then also keeping the Pelicans pick and getting like the 2nd or 3rd pick and maybe the 10th or 11th pick. Mm-hmm. That would be phenomenal. You're looking at one of Banchero, Chet, or Jabari Smith, and then you're looking at maybe Atari Eason. That would be the best case scenario for Portland.
And that's why moving up those other spots is also important, because the difference between getting 10 and 11 like we just saw in that sim and like even 7 and 11 could be the difference between that tier that has a lot of good players or taking a chance on a couple guys just below that tier. So like moving up to 6 or 7 and staying in that range, even if we don't move up, is still better. So yeah, hopefully we move up a lot.
Yep. Anyway, back to this game. Do you have any team-based takeaways at all?
We're super sloppy.
Very sloppy.
I don't even know how
many
turnovers we had, but we had so many bad passes. It was comical watching Ellaby throw a lob that wasn't even close to the rim, and then I forgot who else did it, but someone threw a lob to Greg Brown, I think it was, but he was on the wrong side of the hoop. I don't know. It was just really bad.
Ellaby dropped a bounce pass from 3 feet away. He would have had a wide open layup, and he just drops it out of bounds. I mean, this team looked... I don't even know. This team looked like... Obviously, they look better than a YMCA or a rec league team, but in terms of the sloppiness, I feel like they did not look like an NBA team in terms of just basic things. Like, yeah, throw it to your teammate, not, 10 feet to his left. Catch a pass from 3 feet away that wasn't even thrown hard. He literally basically almost handed you the ball. You're just gonna drop it out of bounds. But yeah, it was very, very ugly to say the least. Anyway, let's hop into the team stats. Okay, this is last games. Just compare and contrast however you want. We'll upload today's game. Shooting numbers aren't much better. We did shoot 36% from 3. Anthony shot decent from 3. We hit some threes in the second half, including Keljin Blevins. Good for him. Got to line 25 times, shot 76%. I guess that's okay. We just could not score in the paint, really. We had numerous shots blocked. They had 6 blocks. It felt like they had more than that.
What else? 19 field goals inside.
19 field goals. We were what? 19 for
47.
Yeah, good math. I'm blanking on the math for some reason. 19
That's
for 47. That's not as terrible as it looks. It's just when you look at 19 turnovers, that was really the deal there. 19 turnovers. We didn't crash the offensive glass well, despite missing more than 60% of our shots.
Keljin did. He had an offensive rebound putback, so that was one of those 19 field goals and one of those 5 offensive rebounds.
He should have played more, honestly. Maybe made this a little bit closer just for fun, right? Still lose. You don't want to play him too much, but should have played him more, man. Free Keljin. Anyway, anything else jump out here to you? Their shooting numbers were impressive.
At one point where we took the lead by 1 in the beginning of the second quarter, I think it was 30-29. That was pretty cool. And then, yeah.
Just downhill from there. Downhill. Almost a 50-40 at night in terms of field goal percentage and 3-point percentage for the Phoenix Suns. They were also a little bit sloppy, 16 turnovers for them. We did not score off it as well as they scored off ours, though. Yeah, largest lead 33 for them. 1 for us, Eric. Mm-hmm. 1. At least we had a lead at some point in this game. Good for them. Anyway, that's the ugly team stats, dude. Ugly. Yep. Player cards aren't ready, Ben. Okay. Do you want to do a you said you wanted to do a Twitter space tonight.
Sure.
Do you want to do a Twitter space before the player cards?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. I'll get that set up in a second. Let me get this in here. Okay, and then
while you're doing that, I'll answer a question by AJ from earlier.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal.
Yeah, Priest, please get out of here with that crap. Um, but he asked, would you rather have Tari over Keegan Murray? Um, and my answer to that is yes, because I feel like, I mean, I have Keegan higher in my ratings, but for this particular team, well, one, I don't think Keegan Murray is going to be around at 10 or 11. But two, I just feel like Tari does a lot of things that we're going to need out of a forward playing next to Damon Ant. And I'm a little worried about Keegan being not quite the right fit with those two, at least defensively. So that's where I would differ them. Now, offensively, I mean, it's like the same old story, you know. I mean, we can get plenty of offensive guys that fit with those guys, but I want them to be a fit on both ends, and I think Tari is a better fit there.
Keep answering questions while I set this up.
All right. But yeah, I mean, I like both of them. But yeah, definitely that's the one cool thing about when we suck so bad and we have potentially 2 lottery picks. We have an early first round or second round pick, and we have a late second round pick. So instead of now, like last year, where we have no picks and we're just hoping to trade into the second round so we can talk about someone the Blazers got. But now instead this year we have 4 picks and we have all different ranges we can talk about and things like that. So it's a lot of fun watching college basketball, trying to figure out how these guys would play next to Damon Ant instead of just like, there's another guy I have to watch because I have to do a draft show, even though the Blazers don't have a pick, you know. Like, I still love doing that, but it's just kind of a grind at times. But this year I'm kind of excited about it. I'm like, yes, there's a good game on tonight for college. I'm going to watch this. And like last night was great with there was a Wisconsin Purdue game. So we had Ivy versus Johnny Davis, 2 of the projected top 8 picks. And then we had, after that, it was USC versus Arizona. So Mathurin has been playing really well lately, and it was fun to watch him as well.
Yep. Okay. Thank you to Michael Slayton with a $1 dono of an ice cream cone sticker. Thank you, Michael, for the ice cream, man.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, Twitter Space Live, Eric, if you want to hop in there. We'll go to Dro, and then we'll go to... Oh, I thought we had 2. We just have 1. Aeromancer is also there. Sometimes if you request to speak, and then sometimes it will glitch out and take away your speaker request. So definitely double check and make sure that's still, if you're trying to talk, if you're trying to call in, double check and make sure it's good to go with that. Alrighty. Been a minute since I've ran one of these, so hopefully this goes smooth. We haven't ran it since before the All-Star break. But anyway, Eric, is your mic good to go? You're muted, by the way.
I'm muted.
No, you're muted in the space.
Yeah, is that good?
Yeah, there you go. Cool. All right, so we got our guy Duro. All right, I don't know how long we're gonna go. We'll take like 3 or 4 callers maybe. Just we haven't done this in a while, so always good to talk to some of y'all. Anyway, what's going on, Dro? It's been a minute. How you doing, man?
What's up, guys? How are you doing?
Doing okay.
How are you, Dro?
Oh, it was. I'm pretty good. I was happy to see the tank in person tonight, and
you went to the game. Oh man.
Oh yeah, of course. Every time Portland's down here, I always.
That's some dedication tonight.
Yeah, it was good. Like, there's some things that I just wanted to point out.
Cool.
So like, I sat pretty close like to the bench and everything, and I noticed like our body language is like really good. Like everybody, even though we got our asses kicked, but like everybody seemed like they were in tune like with the game, and like nobody was like down. Like everybody was giving high fives. Like the coaches seemed like really excited. Like everybody just seemed like it just seemed like they were like a really like good team. Like they like knew what, like, you know, they obviously like the score didn't show, but like they definitely like were engaged, and I'm just really proud of these young guys. And like somebody like Watford, man, like he's like telling people what to do, like, and he's young and he's, oh man, I'm so excited for him. How do you guys feel about Trendon?
I wanted to save a little bit of the trend and talk for his player card. Normally we do these spaces after the player cards.
Yeah, right.
But
right.
I mean, he hit 2 threes today. You love to see it. All right. If he can develop that part of his game, I think he's set. You know, he pulled out that Rondo move too. He was looking good today. When the rest of the team kind of looked like a mess, I think he was the main bright spot today. Maybe the only bright spot today. Eubanks was solid, but he was fun to watch today for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely got to be a little more consistent with his finishing. He had a little bit of trouble with that last few games. But to your point about players seemingly into the game and still having fun and enjoying themselves, I mean, other than Simons, we're talking about all players who probably didn't think they would have this kind of opportunity to play this many minutes this season. So I think the players that are actually playing are having fun and enjoying that they're actually going to the arena and knowing they're going to get like at least 20 minutes to actually show what they have. So I'd be excited too if I was in that position.
Right. For sure. And then just another quick question, has nothing to do with the game or anything like that, but I'm a big Nikola Jovic fan. How do you guys feel about him? I'm really excited about that guy.
I need to watch more of him. You know, since he plays overseas, I never get to like watch actual game footage as much as some of the college guys over here in the U.S. But I mean, he's 6'10". I don't know how true that measurement is. He's one of the main guys I'm going to be looking at his measurement, assuming he goes to the draft combine and gets measured. Because I'm kind of curious.
I've like 10 guys who are like that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see their measurement. That's going to determine my ranking for them.
I'll probably put out a video, and you can help me make that, Eric, about like certain things to look for in the draft combine with certain players' measurements. He's one of the main guys because like he's listed as 6'10", and he looks like he could be a legitimate 6'10". His skill level mixed with like he's a decently quick player as well. That combination, I mean, he's young, so when you have size, height. Hopefully he has length, hopefully he has a good wingspan, and then you have quickness and you have some skills, you have some playmaking ability, you can handle the ball a little bit at 6'10". Those types of guys are always, they always have high ceilings. Sometimes they don't always pan out. You get like the Dragan Benders, who was supposed to be the next Kristaps Porzingis, and he obviously sucked. But just because they don't necessarily pan out doesn't mean they have a high ceiling. So in Portland's case, I wouldn't mind drafting him if they have the 11th, 12th pick, just because it's a guy, it's a forward, he has some skill. I don't know how he is defensively, but overall, his combination of tools gives him a high ceiling.
Yeah. The thing that scares me about him though is like I was really paying attention because like I'm Serbian, so like I always watch like every Serbian game. And I was paying attention to the like World Cup game. He didn't it didn't seem like he was like a lockdown defender. Like I didn't really see him like guard any of like the other team's like best player or anything like that. But I mean, I wouldn't really see him like cracking the rotation next year or anything like that. I feel like he would definitely have to take some years to develop,
Yeah. More of a long-term piece. What do you think, Art?
So, yeah, I actually, over the weekend, I actually wanted to get a little bit more scouting done on some international prospects, and he's one of the guys I focused on. So I tried to find some like actual games to watch a little bit of him, and I am kind of concerned about his defense. I don't know, especially if I don't think because people compare him to Jokic, obviously, but he's not as big as Jokic, so I don't think he can play center necessarily right away in the NBA. So he's going to have to be a power forward, and I think he's going to have to be at least average to competent defender on that end if he wants to get minutes anytime early on in his career. But offensively, if he's truly 6'10", he'll shoot up draft boards. And because this guy plays like a guard, he's got elite handles for his size if he is 6'10". He's got a great looking shot. The form's really good in my opinion. He can grab a rebound, take it coast to coast, or set up a teammate. So I like all that. It's basically like he's a 6'10 guard. So if he is 6'10, I think there is a lot of useful skills there. And like Tori said, I wouldn't mind taking a chance for him in that late lottery position.
Yep. For sure. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. You brought really good information with both those topics, so appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. Thank you.
You too, man. All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Peace. We're going to Aeromancer. Aeromancer, you're up next. What's going on, Aeromancer? You're now live on the Blazers Uprise Postgame show, in case you didn't know. There you go. You're here.
And also muted, so that explains a little bit.
Very common occurrence. I was expecting that. What's going on, man?
What's up, man?
It's been a while, so I haven't gotten back into the swing of unmuting myself before talking, but I'm excited to be able to watch the stream again. I haven't been able to for a couple weeks now, unfortunately, but always love what you guys do, so thanks for having me.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, so my question / observations is probably also something that you'll probably want to talk about in the player card, but this game I actually saw a couple things from Greg Brown that I really liked, so I want to just mention really quickly. There was one play where he was guarding a guy in the corner, and he basically flipped his hips and drove him to the baseline and forced him to make a pass, and then he got back and contested a lob on that same play. And that I didn't realize his lateral quickness was quite as good as it has been. And there's a couple other times where he kind of moved pretty well laterally. Obviously, he makes a ton of mistakes on the defensive end right now, but I'm excited because I think he actually has some really good tools there. And I honestly, I've been low on him because he's kind of just athletic, but he's athletic in a bunch of different ways. So hopefully he will work out as a prospect for us. Thoughts or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, defensive tools, he has them. He might be a guy in his prime if he really kind of reaches his ceiling defensively that can guard guards effectively out on the perimeter. And then weak side shot blocker, he has a lot of vertical leaping abilities, so he can block some shots as well. So he's a versatile defender. Or he projects as a versatile defender going forward. It's going to take a lot of time for the mental aspect of the defensive end to kind of catch up for him to recognize things as they're happening. He's still a little late sometimes recognizing certain situations, recognizing where he's supposed to rotate or where he's supposed to be, but that's to be expected for a second round draft pick of a rookie. So I have hope that he'll pick that up over the next couple of seasons. Obviously, what's going to determine if he's a NBA rotation player is can he figure things out offensively, because he has flashes there, but I think he's further away on that end of the ball than he is on defense. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, well, my point to that play that Aaron Messer was talking about is he doesn't make that play earlier in the season. So he has to funnel guys the way he did, but he wouldn't funnel them. He would get blown by, or he'd funnel him to the wrong spot or whatever, and then he wouldn't recover or notice that there was a lob threat there. So I like the progression that he's making from seemingly completely lost out there to only partially lost now. So it's a good progression. And that might sound like I'm being harsh on him, but that I'm being serious. So it's like a good progression. But for him, like Tori mentioned, he's a long ways away on offense, other than if he's on a fast breaking team. I think it'd be a lot easier for him. But in the half court offense, it's still going to take some time unless he really learns how to cut well and finish in traffic. But I think that's maybe where Chauncey can get to him, is just becoming a smarter defender and becoming a guy who you can put in the game and rely on to get stops. And if he can do that sooner rather than later, without some of the other mistakes off ball, I think that he could actually find a spot in this league, even if his offensive game doesn't ever develop much more outside of flashy dunks and stuff. That
Yeah, I
he
mean,
could
look at like a Derek Jones Jr.
Mhm.
Like that kind of role. You know, Derek Jones Jr. doesn't really hit threes, but he doesn't force things offensively. That's something that Greg Brown has to learn. But like, he's athletic, a lob threat, good cutter. Greg Brown has to, continue to try and find opportunities to cut. And then Derek Jones Jr. gets it done on the defensive end. So that would kind of be the mold for Greg Brown, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And Greg Brown is taller and bigger than Derek Jones Jr., which means that he could potentially be more versatile, which is great.
Yeah.
My other quick thing, this is kind of like maybe a suggestion. I was thinking, what if, probably not this year, but maybe next year, you had a coach player card for Chauncey, like to talk about him and kind of list some things that he did well and did badly.
Yeah. I mean, well, normally we do that, like, at the start of each show. Normally, like, dude, we're so far away from it because we're in a tanking season that, like, I kind of forget how it's like. But, normally the shows go, like, intro, right? Maybe look at the team stats early. And then talk about, like, the way the team played, the style of play, kind of some team-based things. And then, like, Chauncey gets grouped into that, Like, that's a big reflection of Chauncey. And we'll, praise him or criticize him or whatever. Normally that's, like, the first segment of the show. But when the team is this bad, when it's a tank year right now, it's like, what are we gonna say? We lost by 30 tonight, but look at the lineup we played, and it's Phoenix, and it's there's not anything to really say on that end. So I've struggled to come up with things to say in regards to, like, the starter shows before we get to player cards. We might start doing these Twitter spaces before the player cards, just doing them right away, just hopping straight into it when things are fresh, because we don't really have anything to talk about in regards to that for the rest of this year, but next year we should be back to kind of talking about him as part of the intro segment or the first segment of the show.
If we were good, it'd be kind of cool to have, like, our coach grade for the game, game plan wise or whatever.
That could be something we could do. Yeah, something similar. I'd be down to do, like, a coaching grade or something, or do some sort of graphic next to that. Just, remind me when we get closer to next season, because I'm probably not going to remember. And I always do, try and do new graphics each and every season. So, Aeromancer, if you remember in, I don't know, August, let me know. Eric, if you remember in August, chat. If one of you remembers in August, let me know so I can remember. That would be a cool segment to do next year, like a coach's grid.
Maybe I'll throw it in the Discord in August.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe schedule a tweet at me for August. I don't know, like August 17th. All right. But yeah. Anyway.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks for having me.
Yep.
Thanks, our master. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Peace. All right. We got Jared up next. Let me bring him in here. What's going on, Jared? What's up, man? Did it put you in here or did it glitch? I think it might have glitched, unfortunately. Good old Twitter spaces. Jared requests to talk again, and then we'll bring you on. And then we'll talk to Portland Trailblazer fan. And then we'll probably wrap up the space. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. But anyway, Andrew in chat says he thinks your clock is broken behind you, Eric.
It is for sure broken. It's been on that same time since before Tori came over here and filmed the very first show of Blazers Uprise.
Dude, it's been broken for like 3 years.
Yeah. Well, I've tried changing the batteries, but it doesn't.
Dude, the first episode.
I don't know why it's still. It's like we have nothing else to put there, so we just leave it.
Yeah, dude, the first episode of Blazers Uprise. We called it the Blazers Uprise podcast. That was back when we used the term podcast. We don't use podcast anymore, so it's always funny when people call our stuff a podcast because we don't consider it a podcast. It's a live stream, YouTubers, that type of thing. But yeah, that's funny. Dang, I need to go back and look at that video. I don't think it's in that video though, but
I think it is. It shows the same time.
This off season, I'm gonna make a video series over the off season. Anyway, all right, Jared, we're gonna try this again. Hopefully, it works this time. Are you there?
There we go.
Cool. What's up, man?
All right. So, So I want to go on a topic of Brandon Williams.
Okay.
So I am really liking his shot creation and some of his playmaking potential. I'm noticing like he's seems to have the right idea on finding the open man, but he does seem to have that like shoot first mentality. Do you see? I don't want to go too far off the deep end with this, but could you see him kind of having like a Tyrese Maxey kind of role with Philly? Uh, but like the only my only question mark with him is his defense.
I mean, Tyrese Maxey's a starter, like 17-point per game guy, so I wouldn't go that far. Like, especially for us, I don't think he plays for us next year on the two-way contract. I don't think he's in the rotation, or else they probably would have signed him to a normal contract. He might play his way into a roster spot, and maybe it's a situation where he gets signed to a normal roster spot, but I think the idea for him is just for him to be what Dennis Smith Jr. was supposed to be this past season next year.
Yeah.
And Hart's the third guard. If injuries happen or maybe they don't get good forward targets in the offseason, they decide to start Hart at the 3, maybe it's a situation where you could win some backup guard minutes. But it's tough because I just don't see how he's going to get playing time, because even if we start Hart at the 3, he's not the ideal third guard behind a Dame Ant backcourt. So
No.
He's more of like a long-term play, I think. And I see some of the flashes, and he's still... Let me look how old he is. Look this up. Brandon Williams.
He's like 22, 23, I think.
That's a soccer Brandon Williams. We need an NBA Brandon Williams. He was born November 22nd, 1999. So he's 21 years old. So, he still has some time to develop. I just don't think he has a role in the next couple of years, at least for us. Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, it's just tough to see him, even if he is everything you say, cracking the rotation next year or anything like that. So, and then like Tori mentioned, I don't think his defense is good enough. Now, if we play the zone, the 2-3 zone, I guess it kind of minimizes that a little bit. But yeah, he is 22, born in 90.
Oh yeah, 22. I did bad math. Whoops.
But yeah. I don't know. It's so hard to me because it's the same thing that I'll say about Ant. It's like no matter what they do, the players they're passing up to aren't very good. So it's hard to know if he's shooting sometimes or seeming like he's a shoot first guard because he has really no good options to pass to, or if he's doing that because he's just kind of a ball hoggy player, or if he's when he's passing, if he's not getting assists because people are making shots or whatever. But I think he's been pretty solid. I don't think once teams start game planning for him, I don't know how much he's going to be able to do a lot of this.
Right. That's kind of my main concern, especially on the defensive end for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know he's listed at 6'2", but he doesn't look 6'2" to me.
He's like a Chris Paul 6'2", dead, definitely 5'11".
Yeah, I mean,
he looks that small out there.
He looks shorter than Dame, man, and Dame I think is a legit 6'2". He is not a legit 6'2". He's 6 foot maybe, hopefully. But I mean, he has some talent, but it's just hard to project his role. Anyway, what else you got first?
So I know I asked the question of trading up on a previous space, but
yeah.
What do you see as far as trade down options and possibly maybe we find that Gary Trent in the second round? Those kind of guys you're looking at.
Well,
I know of one guy you're interested in, though.
Well, we already have a high second round pick in the Gary Trent range, so I don't think we need to trade to do that.
Yeah, the only trade down that I would see is if we got both, or even if we got one lottery pick. If we had a pick 10th to 12th, San Antonio currently has the 18th and 19th picks. Those are from Toronto and Boston. Maybe that becomes 17 and 19, and we have the 11th pick. I could maybe see us trading 11 down to 17 and 19 if, we weren't enamored with somebody at 11 and thought there were multiple good prospects in the 17 to 19 range. That's kind of the one scenario I could see. OKC also has the 16th and 30th picks, so maybe you move down from 11 or 12 to 16 and 30. But
Oh Lord, that's reminiscent of what, 2017?
2017 we traded 20 and 15 up for 10. Which was
Okay,
maybe a
that-
little
not
bit
quite.
steep of an overpay. And then we still had 26. That's what we used to take Swanigan. So I could maybe see us trading down. I just think if the Blazers have a pick like 11th or 12th, I think they're going to take Tari Eason. He just makes a ton of sense what he brings to the table. And I know, Jared, I know you're a Tari Eason fan. So I don't think you want us to trade down because that's kind of the perfect range to select him at this point. He should be there at 11 or 12.
Yeah.
But he's not going to last. I don't think he's going to last to 17 or 18. So, you know, if you have the 11th pick, you just got to take him there if you want him. You're not going to be able to trade down to the 2 Spurs picks that they have around the 17 to 19 range and be able to take Tari Eason with one of them.
Yeah, it's kind of complicated because you got Jovic, who's actually improving from the 3-point shot now, from what I've seen lately, and I've kind of changed my stance on Jovic, so...
Yeah. I mean, that would be one of the guys in that range to trade down for. It's hard to know. Player stocks change, and those picks are subject to change too, and we don't know what picks we're going to have, so it's hard to
Exactly.
even talk about it at this point.
Yeah, that's all I got here.
All right, man. Thank you for calling in,
Have a good
Jared.
one, Jared.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you.
no problem, man.
All right. Last speaker, we will go to Portland Trail Blazers fan. What's going on? You're not live on the Blazers Uprise post-game show. What you got for us?
What's up, guys? Thank you guys for having me on. Yeah,
So,
I just had like kind of a hypothetical question about the off season, and pretty much it was so basically my, I guess, situation that I want to tell you guys, and I want to know your response. So, let's say we get the 6th pick, and then we get the 10th pick, and you can draft somebody with the 6th pick, and you kind of trade the 10th pick for like another wing player, because obviously we have issues with our 2 forward spots. So I guess what would you do? Like, who would you draft with the 6th, and who would you trade the 10th for?
Eric, I'll let you go first on this one.
well, yeah, if we have the 6th pick and AJ Griffin still on the board, I think we should probably take him. But I would offer the 10th pick for like an OG with Toronto. He fits into our trade exception, so I would definitely look at those options. Other than someone at that level or better, I'm keeping the pick and I am going for high risk, high reward, and just hoping that that pick turns out better than anyone we could trade it for, because I think a lot of other players are kind of limited that we would get, say, Jeremy Grant. Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst trade ever. It's just like I'd rather swing for the fences and go for a guy that has the potential to be the next great player that fell in the draft that everyone was wondering like why he didn't go higher. And I would hate to give that up. Like, say what the I mean, I know like Jeremy Grant isn't the same as George Hill, but the Pacers trade the 15th pick to the Spurs, right, in Kawhi's draft, and so they get George Hill, and that pick becomes Kawhi Leonard, and the Spurs are set and win another championship because they get Kawhi. Probably should have won too, and then a few years later we see guys like Giannis go in the 15th pick. We see this all the time where guys in that range turn out to be good. I think Paul George was around the 10th pick. So like, it's not like at the time people would say, oh, the 10th pick's not going to be better than Jeremy Grant, right? But you see it all the time. If you pick the right guy, that there is a chance at getting a player with the ceiling much higher.
Jeremy Grant was taken in the 2nd round. FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, I mean, obviously players outplay their position or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would much rather just swing for the fences and hope if you hit on both picks and they're good relatively soon, then a couple of years, you completely change James' window from a couple years to maybe 4 or 5 years, because he's not going to have to be as much of a part of a championship team as he would have to had we had, kind of above average players with him or whatever. If you find a couple players that are absolute really good, like not necessarily stars, but close to being all-star level, and you get them with those picks, I just think it sets you up for a much longer run with Dame.
Yep. All right, here's my answer. OG Anunoby needs to be the #1 target this offseason. He makes a ton of sense as a third option offensively, and then defensively, he's the exact type of guy we need at the small forward position. Toronto has a logjam of forwards. They got Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby. OG Anunoby might be the odd one out. They might elect to roll forward with all three guys, but I'm hopeful that they decide to trade Pascal or OG. If Pascal's available, then try and go get Pascal Siakam. But OG makes sense because he fits into our $21 million trade player exception. We don't have to trade out any salary to match that. And if you had the 6th and 10th picks, honestly, I wouldn't have any problems with trading the 6th pick over the 10th pick for OG. I don't think the 10th pick is enough for OG. I think the 6th pick might, if he's available. It might be. Yeah. And at 6, I would probably lean Griffin, but honestly, there isn't much of a gap at all between Griffin and Atari Eason for me. And Atari Eason had a really good game today, 24 points for LSU. He only played 18 minutes because he was in foul trouble. Had 24 points at 18 minutes, Eric. 10 for 10 from the free throw line, 6 for 14 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. That was against the 14th ranked Arkansas team. So Atari Eason's legitimate on both ends of the floor. I would just say, screw it, trade the 6th pick. That might be enough for OG, and then you take Tari Eason at 10. That would be a phenomenal outcome of that, getting OG and Eason from the 6th and 10th picks.
Yeah, I would be down with that as well.
Yep. Anyway.
But AJ is a much better shooter.
But other than that, I think every other area, I'm just as confident in Atari Eason compared to an AJ Griffin. I still got to watch more footage on both. We'll get into more comparison conversation about prospects later, but I would trade the 6th pick for OG and take Eason at 10.
There's several guys like Griffin, if he falls to that 6-7 range. I see people mentioning Sharp in chat. I mean, he's a guy that people are either going to say, man, what were they thinking taking him? Or, man, I can't believe he fell to 6th or 7th, What were teams thinking not taking a chance on him? Tari Eason's the same way. I've seen some draft boards where he's a late first rounder. It's you're crazy. But, so that's a guy that's going to be like that. Jovic has a chance of being like this. There's so many guys who have the potential to be man, I cannot believe that guy fell to 9th or 10th or whatever. And I think we should absolutely be the team to get those guys.
Yeah, I think that was pretty much it for my question. I was just thinking, OG Anunoby. Maybe, obviously, John Collins doesn't fit in our trade exception, but maybe trading Bledsoe's expiring and something like that. But yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
Yep, good question, man. I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
And that will wrap up our Twitter space. Thank you to everybody who called in. Appreciate your contributions to this postgame show. All right, so let's hop into player cards. And then we'll do around the NBA. Then we can talk maybe a little bit more draft. And that'll be today's stream. We're going to start off with Brandon Williams. He's actually a first player card up, Eric. 5 for 8 from the field. His only 3. Was 3 for 3 from the free throw line. 14 points in 15 minutes. And was only a -1 in his 15 minutes. So he was probably the best player today. Maybe outside Trent Watford. We'll talk about him. We already talked about Brandon Williams in the space. Is there anything you wanted to add on to that?
No, I mean, he's coming in and doing his job. Like I said, it's kind of tough for him because I think our half-court offense is very, very bad right now with the mix of players we have in there. But it's good to see him come in and contribute and do some nice things. Just like to see what he would do with maybe being asked to be a little more of a playmaker versus a shooter, because I still think he's more of a shoot-first type of guy.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on to... nope, not him. Nope, not him. It always puts him out of order. Oh my goodness, look at Trendon. Trend Draymond dive into tank. I don't know what that means, but trend and stat. We might have to dull down the little background image slightly there, Krish. Look at Jokic. Oh my goodness. We might have to dull it down slightly so we can at least read the numbers. But Eric, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, was 5 for 12 from the field and 2 for 2 from 3 in 30 minutes. This was his best game of his career. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, 6 assists is really good, no turnovers. But 5 for 12 isn't the greatest. But yeah, overall, pretty dang good.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on his defense at all today? Or
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think Cam Johnson hit a deep 3 on him, but I feel like he had a hand in his face. So there's nothing really much you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, pretty good defense, I thought.
Yep.
He's still playing out of position too, so it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like when he's trying to guard JaVale McGee and stuff,
It's just nice to see the playmaking and the 3-point shooting, because those are the two skills that are really going to give him a chance to be a really good role player in his prime, in my opinion. And it's nice to see both of those show up tonight. So, good game, Trendon. Balling out on that new contract. You love to see it. Mm-hmm. Let's move on to Eubanks, Eric. So did you see this?
We talked about it on
the stream. Did you actually see it? It's
yeah,
just comical to see. Yeah. So, the Phoenix Suns broadcast and the arena had a Blazers starting lineup graphic, okay? And for Drew Eubanks, they spelled his name like Do Eubanks, and they had a picture of the GOAT himself, Keljin Blevins. Okay, so Drew Eubanks tonight, hey, he was solid, man. He went up against DeAndre Ayton for a good majority of his minutes and actually played pretty well on both ends of the floor. Had a steal. He got fouled trying to take it coast to coast. Was 5 for 6 from the field. Just finished off plays well. Rolled to the rim aggressively. Rebounded the ball well. 8 rebounds in 18 minutes. Looked very solid today.
Yeah, Drew's been playing good. It's second good game in a row. Man, as a dive option, is throwing down some pretty monster dunks and finishing well. So, yeah, not much more you can ask of him, I guess, at this point.
Yep, I agree. Just let me put Christian a clown emoji in chat. All right. Yeah, it will be interesting to see if he gets a second 10-day contract. I think he's playing well enough to earn a second 10-day contract or a normal roster spot, because we need a big man, I guess. And we'll talk about somebody later that continues to frustrate me that could maybe get cut in that scenario.
Jackson obviously wasn't paying attention, or he's behind.
Jackson, did not listen to any... Dude, Jackson never listens to anything I ever say, honestly. That's kind of the thing, is like, I'm just white noise to him, unfortunately. So
I don't blame you, Jackson.
You hate to see it. Or he's just trolling me because I passed him in picks against the spread. Anyway, let's move on to social distance Simon. So, dude, he started off hot, and I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those Ant games. He had 11 points in the first, 5 or 6 minutes. And then he didn't score again for the rest of the game. But it wasn't really his fault. Dude, they were blitzing him, denying him, picking him up at half court when he was off the ball and denying him. They were not letting him do a single thing in this game. Would love to run some plays with him off the ball to try and get him some easier shots. We didn't really do that today, so there's one criticism of Chauncey. You got to try and get Ant some looks, man. I mean, you're running plays for Ben freaking McLebrick, but you can't run a off-ball set for Simons to run off a screen. 4 for 10 from the field. I think he started 4 for 5, so finished, 0 for 5. But, dude, he was being guarded.
6 from 2.
He was being guarded like Dame in the playoffs against the Pelicans times 2.
Yeah. Yep, this is hopefully part of the maturation process for him, is learning how to still contribute without, just completely giving up on that. But once again, it's the same thing that Dame had. Like, when none of his teammates are doing anything and you're not setting up the floor well with your sets and stuff, when he gets blitzed, I mean, I don't really know what to do. And he's got to make sure he doesn't turn the ball over as much. I can't have those 4 turnovers. So hopefully he can learn, because this is going to happen the rest of the season. Yeah. So hopefully we use this rest of the season to learn how to get him not put in those blitz situations, or at least take advantage of them maybe have some sort of option where we're expecting it and we know exactly how to set up the offense to get an open shot out of it. And I'm fine with him using himself to get two players out of the way and making it a 4-on-3. Like, I've been fine with Dame doing that if we take advantage of it, but obviously we didn't really tonight.
Yep, and here's one of the areas where, like, he could still use a little bit more strength. You know, he's added a ton of strength since coming into the league, but he was being held off the ball today and really kind of struggling to deal with that. So, you know, a little bit of added strength will only help him be able to fight through that type of off-ball defense. So, anyway, let's move on to Mr. CJ Elite Rim Protector Eligo. Oh my goodness, dude, this dude was something to watch tonight, for better or worse. Statistically, it's just a weird statistical game too. 10 points, was 2 for 6 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, but got to the line. He got to the line 8 times though. 6 for 8 from the free throw line. 6 turnovers. 6 turnovers, was a minus 33 in 35 minutes. He had a play that block, and then he gets dunked on 2 seconds later. He looked like freaking LeBron on that block. That was
after he threw the horrible lob.
Yeah, he threw a horrible lob, turnover, makes up for it by getting this insane-looking block, okay? And then he gets dunked on 2 seconds later. That's the CJ Ellaby experience for you, you know, like, oh, wow, he did something impressive. Like, oh, wow, look at CJ Ellaby. But the total result is he turned the ball over and then got dunked on. It was 2 points for the other team.
Yeah, I mean, he's still... I think he has some nice moves, but he's a little wild. a little crazy there. Little erratic. But yeah, can't turn the ball six times when you're not even like a high usage player, man. That's just not good.
Yep.
But thanks for helping the tank.
When was the last time he made a 3? Has he made a 3 since the All-Star break?
I don't know. It's only been 3 games, right?
Why does it feel like it's been like 6 games?
I think it's only been 3 because we've lost.
It has only been 3, but it feels like it's been 6. Dude. This game felt like it took 4 hours. So, but to answer my question, no, he has not made a 3. The last 4 games he's been 0 for 3 from 3. The last 4 games. Pretty consistent. At least he's consistent and not streaky. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's good old CJ Ellaby with the hair. Let's move on. Josh, where you at, bro? Where is Josh Hart, man? I mean, he played 23 minutes today. Didn't play much compared to some previous games. He had a couple steals, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 10 points, 2 for 9 inside the arc, 1 for 5 from 3. Is the honeymoon phase officially over with Josh Hart, Eric?
I mean, people are gonna think that, I guess. But...
I just mean for the fan base, you know, not necessarily for us, because we keep things in a realistic perspective, but for the fan base.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I mean, if anyone was expecting him to be a number 2 option on a team, they're sadly mistaken anyway. So they were never going to have those expectations met. So I'm not worried about it. Like I said last game, he's more of a player that plays better on a good team. He's not the ideal player to have to create offense and set or like take step back threes and stuff in a rebuilding situation where we're down by 30. So I'm not really worried about it. I think he'll be fine next year, and I don't think the team really cares either now.
Yep, agreed. We said this on the previous stream, he'll look better when he's playing next to better players. He's a glue guy that he's just a role player. When he has to do more than his role, he's not going to look as good. So next year he'll be able to kind of play to the strengths of his game a little bit more in a role that fits him a little bit better than being the number 2 guy. And he, I think, will be great in that role.
And Aromancer brings up my next point is that, you know, without Nurk, especially maybe Winslow a little bit too, they had some good chemistry. But like without those guys being able to create a little bit of offense for other people and make their teammates better a little bit with their ability to pass, it's really hard because Josh Hart's not really a half-court offense to break you down off the dribble or that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think it's just a case of where he doesn't really have a good screen setter for him. Our starting lineup isn't really running. Our second unit's trying to a little bit more, but he's best either on a fast break situation, getting the ball and going up the court, or in a situation where he, like you said, can just play his role well. And that's certainly not our team right now.
Yeah, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
All right. Who do we got next? We got, dude, Blevins better. Blevins has been better, honestly. I mean, it's not a terrible stat line for Ben McLembrick today. 8 points, 2 rebounds, an assist, 2 steals. 2 for 6 from 3, right? So the dude is supposed to be a 3-point sniper, but his 3-point shot has fallen off. He was shooting something like 25% from 3 in the month of February. It was something around there. Didn't start off March much better, 33% tonight. I don't know. It's been a while since he's had like a big game where he shot the ball well and he's gotten hot. He hasn't gotten hot in, it seems like, a month and a half. And this is the guy that I think would get cut if we want to sign Drew Eubanks to a contract the rest of the season. So the better that Drew Eubanks plays, and the worse that McLembrick plays, the more likely McLemore gets cut, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that whole situation and how he played tonight?
Yeah, I agree with her. I mean, I find myself, because he's a vet too now, so like, it's kind of like with Josh Hart. It's like, what's the point of even him being out there getting minutes? Like, not that I think Blevins has any chance of developing, but like, it's kind of more fun to watch Blevins out there.
It's just, it's
I would say Blevins not
meme.
better, but yeah, like
it's more fun.
Well, and this is not Ben's fault at all. Like, it's certainly not anything that he's doing wrong, but like every time he shoots, I'm like, oh man, I wish that was Ant shooting or Trendon shooting a 3 or whatever, Greg Brown driving or whatever, or even CJ Ellaby driving to the basket, because that's more fun too. But yeah, it's just but the thing is, we're past March 1st now, so anyone we cut would not be eligible on another team. So we're even past the point where we could do him a favor and cut him and let him go to a playoff team. So, and the buyout market this year sure fizzled out. Well, we had Goran Dragic.
That was like the only one.
Really?
Remember when
else?
The Lakers were going to pivot their search to the buyout market?
They got
DJ Augustine.
They got DJ Augustine, I guess. Yeah.
Don't really understand. I didn't understand why they needed him.
But yeah, there was supposed to be, like, oh, look at all these like 10 to 12 guys that'll help a team, like Gary Harris and all these guys that ended up not getting cut. So kind of interesting that didn't happen. But yeah, I don't know. I think we're probably, because yeah, we did find out that with the rules this year and the hardship thing, we can sign him to 3 10-day contracts. So, or Drew Eubanks. So I don't know if we'll even need to sign him for the rest of the season or anything, and especially since we're not going to make the play-in or the playoffs or whatever. So yeah, it's just it's just a situation where I think he's just going to be on the team, and since we don't really have many players, he's going to play. But I don't know if what he's doing right now, I think, is kind of cementing that he probably won't be back next year.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on to Eli Primary Allen Hughes. The dude can't shoot, man. And it sucks. But he just hasn't been able to make a shot. And he got an extended run tonight. It seemed like they got their look at Keon Johnson for a couple games. They decided to give Elijah Hughes a look tonight. He got the start. The dude did not make the most of it. This was a Tony Snell-esque stat line, Eric. He's the new Tony Snell for us, unfortunately. 3 points off a single 3. He was 1 for 6 from 3. Okay, he got some decent looks, maybe the best looks of anyone on the team. 1 for 8 from the field, didn't get a rebound, didn't get an assist, didn't get a steal, didn't get a block. He had a turnover and a foul. I don't really have anything to say about him other than, he's probably going to be in the G League next year.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, it's just, I mean, if he was a little bigger, maybe I think he's good enough defensively to maybe, if he could guard forwards, would be okay. But yeah, as a shooting guard, that can't shoot. Unfortunately, there's not much of a role in the NBA for those kind of guys.
Yep. The slideshow skipped over a couple slides. We'll double back to them after we talk about poor Chris, man. Chris was our number one Norm stan. The tagline is Keon, I miss Norm Johnson. Keon Johnson in 20 minutes today, Eric. 0 points, 0 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks. He was 0 for 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. I said this the last post-game show, everything's going to be the same. He has so far to go offensively. I don't expect him to help the team within the next 2 to 3 years, and I could easily see him being out of the league in 2 to 3 years. He just is not an NBA player on the offensive end. Defensively, he's not big enough to be versatile enough to kind of make up for that by being able to guard multiple positions. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's a project, so it's hard to judge him now. But yeah, I don't see it, man. I just don't. Like you said, I see some potential defensively. He does a good job of keeping guys in front of him, getting through screens, stuff like that. But it's just I don't know. I'm having a tough time with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to give him a chance. And I'll give him a chance the rest of the year. There's no point to really criticize in a lost year, a 19-year-old long-term project. It's just, I was hoping he'd be a little bit more.
He was hurt too. Yeah, I guess we have to.
I was just hoping he would show us a little bit more by now. I'm disappointed that he's pretty much shown us nothing by now. He was 2 for 10 last game, 0 for 6 this game. The last 2 games, he's 2 for 16, including 0 for. How many threes did he shoot last game? I don't remember. I think 2.
I think it was 2 again.
Yeah. So it's funny how there's still people out there on Twitter that I see trying to act like he's a good trade chip, a first round prospect in terms a first round pick. He's the equivalent of a first round pick, and some people act like he's a solid player already. And I don't know if it's just people that want to give Cronin as much credit as possible, either because they hated Olshey and want the new GM to be better, or they're just trying to be super optimistic. I don't really understand the reasoning for it. I just don't understand how somebody can watch this guy and think he looks like a first-round draft pick right now, and let alone a solid player.
Yeah, I mean, in his defense, no one thought he would be anytime soon anyway, so I guess we're kind of looking at it like him right now versus with Zach Collins, everyone said oh, he's going to be a couple years away, but he ended up coming in and being good right away. So he got kind of, I mean, not great, but he contributed as a second unit player, and you could see an obvious skill set that would help the team. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, you and I both hated this, and I think that's part of it too, is some people who maybe don't like our opinions very much are hoping that he turns out to be good so they can shove it back in our faces. But I mean, I still hope, since he's a Blazer, as long as he's a Blazer, I hope he's good. And I still hope that those people are right and he does have value in a trade this summer. But yeah, unfortunately, right now it's just not looking great from his end, and he's not making the most of an opportunity that a lot of rookies in his position that have struggled would not have.
Yep, absolutely agree. So anyway, let's go over the player slides that we missed. I have to go to the just straight up images. I hate how it skips stuff, man. We haven't talked about Greg Brown, right?
Nope.
I don't know why I skipped his. Anyway, Greg Brown was solid tonight. Statistically, 3 steals, an assist, 5 rebounds, and 9 points in 21 minutes. He was 3 for 6 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3, but 3 for 4 inside the arc. Got to the line 4 times. His free throw shot is looking a lot better than it did to start his career this season. Played some solid defense as well. Overall, I mean, he's just looking like a guy who's finally getting some level of comfort. He's not, I wouldn't say he's comfortable yet, but he's more comfortable than he was starting his career. He had a real bad play where he tried to drive in transition and threw up one of the ugliest attempts at a shot I've seen of a player all season. I think that was the one
fadeaway 15-footer,
like hook shot on a dead sprint with 2 defenders on him. Yeah, like that type of stuff. It's like the dude's trying to do too much, but I understand it. A rookie trying to prove himself, like he'll learn. Hopefully, he'll learn where to pick and choose his spots.
Yeah, I think because he came out shortly after that, and Chauncey's like pointing down to that spot where he shot it from. And it looked like he was like, "Explain that shot to me" or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so, but you can definitely tell he's absorbing information and learning, and that's all you can hope for. And like much like we just talked about with Keon, you just hope that players start to show things. Like you don't want this just to be wasted minutes for the rest of the season. 20 games of getting to play 20 minutes a game in the NBA should lead to you seeing a path to where they could be good, like that defensive play Aeromancer brought up. So that's encouraging for Greg Brown. Is just that he's progressing. So hopefully some of the other guys like Keon show that same progress here in like 5 games or so.
Yep. Oh, I mean, that transition play, all he needs to do is if he gets cut off going to his right, just spin towards the middle. And if somebody else is there, you'll be able to see them or feel them, stop your spin. And at that point, you're facing all your teammates running behind you. You should be able to like find one to pass to. Okay, that's what you do in that situation. You try and spin back middle. If you're able to get to the rim that way, you finish, jump over someone, dunk on someone. Pascal Siakam does that so well. If you spin and then there's another defender middle, then just hit your trailing teammates, right? And you don't even have to go fast in order to do that. You can slow down and actually have that move available instead of like trying to go so fast to beat somebody to your right hand that you end up just like flailing out of bounds like you did. So, those little things like what to do in those certain situations, he will learn, and I think Chauncey will teach him.
We also talked about this last show I don't know about that particular play, but there's been times where he dribbles in like that, and if he just gives it up to the guy in the middle and then, runs a transition where the guy's coming from the side, he probably gets the ball back either in a lob situation or on the run to where he can dunk or lay it in.
Yeah.
And so he's just got to have to learn when he needs to attack off the dribble in those situations and when it's best to give it up to the guy in the middle.
Yep. And it'll take some time for it to become a subconscious thing that he does. You know what I mean? Like I think you'll see a development where he starts to do some better things offensively, but it's almost like he has to think about it and he looks a little uncomfortable doing it, and then hopefully at some point it just becomes second nature for him where he knows the right move, right play to make, and then knows what his reads are, and therefore he can make it quick enough to be able to do it at an NBA level. So I think that's what's next for Mr. Greg Brown. All right, we didn't talk about
legend.
Oh, the legend himself, dude. Keljin Blevins, except that's an old picture. Oh, wait, no, that was Greg Brown's player card from... We didn't even notice. I'm so upset. That was from last game. Oh, well. This is Greg Brown's player card from this game, dude. Shows what we know. We trolled ourselves. He still had 2 steals. So close. 1 assist. Chat, you guys didn't notice either. Did anybody in chat notice? We were testing y'all. Nobody in chat noticed. I don't think. Let me scroll up in chat.
Still think turnovers are wrong.
Turnovers might be wrong. But I pulled up the one from February 27th, and today is definitely March 2nd, right, Eric? It's March.
Yeah.
But, I mean, chat, you guys didn't notice it. We didn't notice either.
Full disclosure, no one gives a crap.
Exactly. Didn't notice, don't care, LOL, yeah. Anyway, that's Greg Brown's real stat line. All right, you guys got trolled. Because I went to Keljin Blevins and it was like 2 points. No, the GOAT had 5
at least
points.
5 points, yeah.
He had 5 points today. Eric, he made a 3.
Good night, Chief, and thanks for coming in to the stream.
Yep. Bro, I'll say what I want, bro. It's not even that serious.
I brought you up in the other...
Yeah, I will permaban you if you keep trying to play that type of hard route, dude. It ain't like that. Relax, chill. 5 points for the legend himself. 1 steal, 2 for 3 from the field. 1 for 2 from 3. Eric, he had a putback, and he had a 3.
I don't have his rebound on there. Come on.
Should we supermax him, though? That's the question at the top of the graphic.
Well,
Can we...
I'm sorry, but gotta call it Krish. You need to learn the CBA, bro. Can't supermax him because.
But can we super duper max him?
Oh, I'm sorry, I just can't. I can't go with a joke like that. I just can't do it.
That's unfortunate. I think
now AJ asked, "Can Cronin build around Blevins?" That's a much more appropriate question. The answer to that is absolutely.
Nope, you already said you couldn't go with the joke, so the joke's over. And the joke would be that he sucks, by the way.
We can't give him a supermax.
Give him a super duper max, dude. He earns it.
We can give him a max, I guess. Or no, he's a 2-year player, so we could give him the D'Anthony Melton. It's basically the MLE contract for 2 years is the most we can give him.
Or we can give him a G League supermax.
Well, we don't have a G League team, so.
Well, we can. Dude, we need to make him the owner, coach, player of our G League team. That's what he should be. It should be the Fighting Keljin Blevins. Should be our G League team name. I'm all up for that. Anyway, the meme lives on. We'll see if it lives on past this year. Hopefully, I almost want him to be on a 2-way next year. Because is he still eligible for a 2-way next year?
Yeah, I think he still has 2 more.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, at this point, like, we found Trent Watford with a 2-way, so I want to use our 2-ways effectively, right? But if not, the meme at this point is just fun. So if we re-sign him to another 2-way, I won't be as mad as I was this last offseason. At this point, I've just come to accept the inevitable, which is Keljin Blevins is a lifetime Blazer. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we keep Brandon Williams on a 2-way and then re-sign Blevins on a 2-way, that's both of our spots gone. So then we're back to not using them right again.
Yep. Oh, we got recent chat says a project is bad in his first year. We're talking about Keon Johnson. Was Anthony Simons not horrible in his first 2 years in the NBA? Anthony Simons went out, put up 37 final game of the season. I don't think Keon Johnson, even if he plays 48 minutes, is capable of putting up 17, let alone 37. So I think that comparison is pretty off. Like, Anthony could make a shot. Didn't shoot well from 3, but he shot 33%. Right now, 33% would be, unfortunately, really, really good for Keon Johnson. Okay? He is not Anthony Simons. He is not. Anthony Simons was a project, but Anthony Simons offensively, you could see some of his upside. Keon Johnson, like, I don't see one thing offensively, like one flash offensively. Like, he's quick. He had a spin move a game ago, or 2 games ago, whatever it was. He had a spin move and finish. Like, he's quick, so he can kind of get by guys. He had a good cut last game and got a dunk off of it. But in terms of having the ball in his hands or just being a floor spacer, I don't see it at all. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the comparison, but, I mean, like I said, he is a project, so it's just...
Bro, I will not... Bro, he is not Anthony Simons, okay? He is not Anthony Simons as a rookie. That's blasphemous to me, to compare Anthony Simons as a rookie to Keon Johnson as a rookie. That's crazy to me.
But yeah, I mean, I can see him being a good defensive player, but it's not good enough in the NBA. Like, he's going to be like Dennis Smith Jr. then, and Dennis Smith Jr. can at least run an offense and do stuff. Like, so he's got a long way to go before he can even get actual minutes in an NBA game on a legit team, let alone be like anything good. I don't know. It's just...
And what did I say? I said I don't see any way he helps us win games the next 2 or 3 years. I'm not saying he'll never be good, right? And I said I just hope that he'd show a little bit more. So I don't know necessarily what you're arguing, Reese, or what you think you're arguing. I don't know what you think you're doing, but like, what about that is wrong?
I think it's arguing with people in chat too, but I still don't get I mean, I understand that mindset if he was on a different team, maybe, but like, I still don't understand what his upside is with our team, even if he does pan out the
That's
way
the other problem.
people ask. So it's still going to be an issue to where he's not big enough. He's got short arms. He's got a horrible standing reach. His wingspan isn't good for his height. So it's not. I don't see a way for him to maximize that. So it's just tough on this team.
He said he's arguing with Aeromancer. Let's read what Aeromancer said. He said, Keon bad. Okay, I understand what you're arguing now. I was confused because I didn't say. I'm used to people giving me some heat over my Keon Johnson, like my lack of love for Keon Johnson. I'm used to people having an issue with that. All right, because I didn't love that trade package. So I guess I'm a little bit jumpy with that, but I wouldn't like he's bad right now. Like I don't even think anybody's arguing that. Long-term upside, he still has 8 years until his prime, and if he can ever find a jump shot and then improve his ball handling ability, he has the quickness and athleticism to be like a really good 3-and-D guard that can create something off the dribble. Like, he has the potential to do that years down the line. Okay? Because I think anybody can figure out how to shoot threes. I think anybody can figure out how to handle the ball a little bit. And it's not like he has... it's not like he lacks coordination or is clunky or anything like that. Like, he can move. He just doesn't really have a feel for handling the ball at all. So... long term, I wouldn't hate on his upside. I just don't think he's going to help us the next 2 or 3 years, and I don't understand his role on this team. Therefore, it's like I'm analyzing Keon Johnson in terms of the trade, and I don't understand why he was the best piece we got back in that trade. And then when he comes here and just can't even make a shot, it's frustrating, and part of it is because of that trade.
Yeah, it's also frustrating to have to bring that up every time we talk about him.
And it's frustrating that people think he's still a first-round value prospect, because I don't think he is.
Yeah. Well, see, the funny thing to me is I heard for Ant's first 2 years and even last year, oh, no player really ever is that bad their first year or whatever and turns out to be good. Like, you can actually see something, right? Like, at least they show something, but like, so... name a player that sucked his first 2 years and then actually turned out to be a competent NBA player. And so there's examples of that. Like, it's not perfect science. But then now we're saying like, oh, look at Ant. So he's the perfect example. Now anyone who sucks as a rookie is going to be Anthony Simons and be a star one day because Ant did it. So why can't this person do it? So
yeah. Well, here's the thing in regards to that comparison, okay? I would rather have the guy with no defense with flashes of offensive upside than the guy with flashes of defensive upside and no offense, okay? Because if you become an elite player offensively, even if your defense is terrible, you're still a really good player because you can have more of an individual impact on the offensive side of the floor than you can on the defensive side of the floor, right? That's why, like, you know, James Harden, even when he sucked defensively, was considered one of the best players in the league. That's why the best offensive players are the best players in the league, right? You don't see... people don't say Rudy Gobert's the best player in the league, even though he's the best defensive player, and offensively he's pretty efficient and finishes on the inside. But as an individual, you can have more of an impact on offense than defense. So I don't like that comparison because I would much rather have Anthony Simons showing flashes of offensive upside with a lack of defense his rookie year than Keon Johnson, which isn't really showing any flashes of offense right now, and the only value he has on the defensive end is on the defensive end. Does that make sense? Do you agree with that, Eric? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I somewhat agree with that. I mean, there are defensive players that have an impact that aren't good on offense throughout the history of the NBA, but you have to develop at least some sort of competency on offense. So hopefully, I mean, he does seem like he could be okay on offense. It's not like he's got like a Michael Kidd-Gilchrist jumper or something, you know? It's like, it's not like it's completely broken. It's not like he's not quick.
I don't know if that's a good thing though. Like, for Michael Kidd-Gilchrist,
I know what you said, but
if you could, like, okay, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist tried to break his arm on every jump shot, you know? If you got him so that he stopped doing this, when he shot that weird hitch, like he might have been solid with Giannis. Like, what do you even fix there?
Well, the other thing too is, I mean, Phillips has only had him for what? That was the All-Star break. I don't know if they did much work then. They don't have a lot of practices the rest of the season. So, I mean, some of that is like Greg Brown's had the opportunity to be coached by Phillips the whole year. And so now, I don't know. I think we should just give him some time, but like, I still don't like it. Even if he shows something, like, I hope he has a good rest of the season. Like, I really do. I hope this is just a couple game struggle and he's going to be fine. But like, the better he plays the rest of the season, the more we can showcase him and use him as value in a trade, because I don't think he's valuable to our team. I think that will help us. So I do hope he proves us both wrong the rest of the season.
I mean, I wouldn't count on it. He's an athlete. That's what he is. He's an athlete. Mm-hmm. He's not necessarily a basketball player yet. Oh God, that sounds like I'm Nicholas Henkel. But like athleticism, he has it. As an athlete, he's phenomenal. It's just the basketball skills, he has to develop them. Anyway, I'm done debating Keon Johnson. We'll probably debate him in future streams.
I mean, what else are we going to talk about?
Exactly. we got nothing else to talk about. Let's go around the NBA.
Yes, Andrew, it was a tank game.
Yep. Let me plug in today's scores. Ignore those. And we're going to go to March 2nd. All right. So you had 8 games today. The Pacers beat the Magic 122 to 114. The Pacers.
Good job, Pacers.
Yeah, the Pacers gained a game on us in the tank race. So we'll look at the tank race once again. We looked at it at the start of the stream. We'll do another Tankathon sim and see if we get a little bit better luck, just for fun. As far as the Pacers go, they were led by, my phone's loading slow, Malcolm Brogdon. He's back. He had 31 points, 8 for 18 from the field, 12 for 15 from the free throw line. Jalen Smith had 15 rebounds and 15 points. For the Magic, Franz Wagner, the rookie, the 8th overall pick, 28 points, 10 for 18 from the field. The Hornets beat the Cavs. The Cavs have been struggling a little bit lately, just been somewhat inconsistent.
Well, Garland's been out.
Yeah, Garland's been out. They honestly, though, like, without Garland, they've played pretty solid. They had a stretch where they were without him earlier in the year. They were a little bit healthier, but...
Yeah, they don't have Garland. They don't have Rubio anymore. LeVert's out as well.
Yep.
And Sexton's still out. Rondo's hurt, so like they have no guards right now.
They've weathered the storm, though. Still 10 games above 500, despite losing by 21 tonight to the Charlotte Hornets. Terry Rozier had 29 points and 7 assists. Kelly Oubre 19 off the bench. LaMelo Ball only played 8 minutes. I saw him as 2 points, but he must have gotten hurt or something. Hopefully it's not serious. I don't.
Garland played tonight. I didn't see that he played.
Oh wow, Garland did play tonight. You're right. We got.
Never mind.
Catch up, we're both a little bit behind.
This is what happens when I am distracted telling weird stories on Gabe's podcast.
Yeah, true. Instead of just browsing ESPN app at halftime. Garland had a good game today, too. 33 points. He was 13 for 22 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3. Jared Allen had 18 points. They just couldn't get any production off the bench. Just a weird game for them. They shot 47% from the field, 32% from 3, but only scored 98 points. I don't know. Statistically, kind of a weird game there. The Philadelphia 76ers beat the New York Knicks 123-108. The Knicks actually had a double-digit lead early on in this game, but of course, as the Knicks do best, Eric, they choked it away. The Sixers...
Can the Knicks please stop sucking just for a few games to, give us a cushion there?
Nope. Stephen A. Smith is supposedly questioning his fandom of the New York Knicks, so we know what type of fan he is. He isn't a true diehard, apparently. That's what ESPN told me today. The 76ers, led by... What do you have a nickname for the Embiid-Harden duo, Eric?
No.
The Flop Bros. That's mine. Okay.
The free throw merchants?
The free throw merchants, yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Embiid legitly gets the line, in my opinion, but...
That's because you're a big man, Eric. Me and Rob actually had an argument about this the other day, and we were looking at footage of, all the times that Embiid got fouled against the Knicks. They played them recently too. A lot of them were legit, but like Embiid just runs into guys on purpose and falls. And it's like guys that don't even foul him. They're just kind of standing there, and Embiid just runs into them and bounces off of them, and he gets free throws.
I mean, if they call the foul, it's a foul.
Yeah, I wish, I don't know. I wish they wouldn't be so whistle happy with some of the stars, but that's probably never going to change. It started to change at the start of this year, and then it's right back to same old NBA refereeing. Embiid, 27 points. Harden, 26 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. Maxey had 25 in the win for the 76ers. 30 for RJ Barrett in the loss, but on 10 for 23 shooting. The Pelicans beat the Kings 125-95. This was a somewhat close game around halftime. The Pelicans destroyed the Kings in the second half. They were led by Brandon Ingram on 15 for 19 shooting from the field. He had 33 points. CJ McCollum, 17 points, 9 assists. For a guy who doesn't pass, impressive. 17 points and 9 assists. 6 rebounds, 7 for 16 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3 for the former Blazer. I was rooting for the Kings in this game.
Yeah.
I'm tired of rooting for the frickin' Kings and the frickin' Knicks, Eric.
Yep.
It's miserable. That's what sucks about tank season is rooting for crappy teams.
Especially when you started later in the season, because like if we would have sucked at the beginning and we were down around Orlando and Detroit and stuff, it wouldn't matter right now. But when you do it later in the season, you need some help too, and then you need to get lucky, and so we need a lot of things to go our way.
Yep. The Bucks beat the Heat. That's a good matchup right there. 120-119. This is two of the favorites.
Heat were up big in this one and blew it.
Yeah, the Heat. I don't know. Let me see what their biggest lead was. Team stats. They were up 14 in this game, blew a 14-point lead. The Bucks, led by Giannis, 28 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists. Middleton, 26. Drew Holiday, 25. The Heat in the loss got 30 off the bench from your 6th man of the year pick in Tyler Hero. 21 for Gabe Vincent. Jimmy Butler in 35 minutes was 2 for 14 with only 6 points. And they still almost won in Milwaukee against a healthy Milwaukee team. So, impressive loss, I guess, for the Heat. Yeah. The Jazz beat the Rockets 132-127. A surprisingly close game. This one went into overtime. The Jazz were pretty healthy in this one. Donovan Mitchell, 37 points. Rudy Gobert, 27 points. Bogdanovich with 18. The Rockets were led by 27 from Jalen Green, 24 from Christian Wood. Kevin Porter Jr., with his new haircut, had 16 points, 12 assists, and 3 rebounds. And then we'll go to the final 2 games. The Thunder surprised the Nuggets. See, this was the one good news of the tanking race tonight, other than the Blazers losing, was the Thunder beat the Nuggets somehow. 119-107. They were led by SGA, who scored 29 points. Isaiah Roby had a career-high 26 for the Thunder. 4 for 5 from 3 for Isaiah Roby. So that's how they were able to get it done. He popped off 22 points, 16 rebounds and 4 assists for Jokic in the loss. And then the Blazers took care of business, losing by 30. Western Conference standings. Eric, anything jump out to you before we go back to the Tankathon?
Memphis is almost moving down.
And Memphis has almost caught Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see if Memphis gets that 2 seed.
Yep.
All right, Tankathon time.
Let's go. 2nd and 10. Let's go.
All right. Which one was the Tankathon? This one? Was this one the Tankathon? I forgot which one was my Tankathon. Yes, that one. Okay. I have tank. I have another tank, and I have Tankathon. Okay, good. I chose Tankathon. It was the right choice. So this is the Tankathon picture right now. Portland in a tie for 8th. They were tied with New Orleans. I did not mean to click on New Orleans. They were tied with New Orleans and New York. New York and Portland both lost today. New Orleans won. Portland in an 8th place tie with New York would have about a 23% chance of the top 4 and a 5% chance at number 1 overall. Pelicans in this position would only have a 14% chance of the top 4, so this would be a pretty good spot for the Pelicans pick, in my opinion, at 10. I really like Tari Eason, so 10, 11, 12, I think you should be able to get him, and it would make it a little bit less nerve-wracking on lottery day if they only had like a 7 to 14% chance of the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Still going to be nerve-wracking, though. I'm like looking forward to lottery day, but I'm also not looking forward to it at all. That's going to be maybe the most nervous I've ever been on stream before. But only a game behind San Antonio, 7th best lottery odds. 3 games behind Sacramento for 6th, 4 behind Indiana for 5th, and then 5 behind OKC for 4th. That's obviously them being 5 games worse than us. Let's simulate the lottery. And hopefully we can get Portland in the top 4. I don't know when the last time that happened was on a post-game Tankathon lottery sim. We have not had good luck. That's why we did 2 today. 1 at the start of the show, 1 right now. Charlotte at 14, Atlanta at 13, Washington at 12, and the Lakers picked to Memphis at 11. We want New Orleans to Portland at 10. We got it. Now we want anyone but Portland at 9. And it's Portland at 9. Good old boring lottery. At 8, you got New York. Dude, there's no movement in this lottery at all. I hit simulate. Oh, no teams moved at all. Except for the top 4. Orlando, Houston. That one was boring. There is no movement. We're going to redo this, all right? Charlotte, Atlanta.
Matherin and Easton it is, I guess.
I should not have redone it, Eric, because this would be the worst case scenario.
Oh, nice.
Yay, we cannot get luck on this. Oh, look, the Pelicans get the number 1 pick.
Oh, cool. Congratulations, Pelicans. You got
Screw
CJ and the number 1 pick, and Cronin got completely hosed.
Hart and 2025 Milwaukee first. Tankathon did not end off things well. Redo. You guys want me to redo again? Do you want me to just redo until we get a good Tankathon sim?
Yeah, you might as well just...
to like leave on a good vibe.
Just keep it up and just do the top.
That's what I'm doing. Okay, there you go. 3rd and 10th picks. We get whichever one of Banchero, Jabari, and Chet is left, and then we get the 10th pick to trade for OG.
Thank
Boom.
you. Yeah.
What an offseason.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully that's good enough for you guys. Don't ask for the number 1 pick. All right, just be satisfied with number 3. Perfect. Cool. Glad you guys are satisfied. Eastern Conference standings are right here. You got Miami and Chicago. They've been battling out for 1 and 2. Miami is now a game and a half up. Still relatively kind of evenly spaced, 1 through 7. Brooklyn still holding on to 8. And then you got Charlotte, Atlanta. Washington could still make a play-in spot. They're only a game behind Atlanta. We play the Wizards in a... Do we play the Wizards next? I don't know. We play the Wizards in the next 5 games. I forget what the schedule is, but this is the Eastern Conference standings.
Well, don't you have the next 5 games coming up?
Right now. Oh, yeah, we play Minnesota twice.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Minnesota 2 games in a row at Minnesota. Should be able to lose both those games, even though it's hard for the Timberwolves to beat the same team twice in a row. The Jazz, I mean, I'm expecting 0-3 on the rest of this road trip. I'm hoping for 0-3 on the rest of this road trip. And then we only come home for 1 game against the Wizards, then we go on an East Coast road trip. So I don't understand the scheduling here. It's very weird. But some losable games here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
1-4 is my prediction.
Let's go. 0-5 would be better, but yeah, 1-4,
Yep.
take it, I guess.
0-5 would be awesome. I agree, Alvaro. Anyway, that's around the NBA. Anything else for this stream, Eric?
Thank everyone for watching, and like Tori said at the beginning, I appreciate everyone who still enjoys the streams, even though the team and the stuff we're talking about isn't great.
We try our best.
Yeah, so hopefully you're still entertained, but we appreciate all the support and for you guys turning in, and we hope to see you on tomorrow for Blazers Uprise Live. Come pick some games with us.
Yep.
And then Saturday after the game against Minnesota.
Yep, I'm going to try and get out another college basketball article tomorrow. Have you guys been reading that? Let me know in chat if you guys have been enjoying those articles or what you think about those articles. We've been dropping college basketball articles on the website every 3 days or so. So I don't know if you have any prospect notes ready, Eric. I know you take notes on guys. So, you know.
Maybe I'll write something up about the Davis-Ivy game last night.
Yeah, that's a good game to write about. So bracketology, games to watch coming up over the upcoming weekend, and then prospect notes from Eric. So that I've enjoyed putting together those articles. They take a lot of time, so hopefully you've been enjoying them. We'll try and put one out tomorrow, and then we'll be live around 3:30 p.m. Pacific time for another episode of Blazers Uprise Live. Picks against the spread is getting extremely interesting. It's getting extremely bunched. The field has caught up to me and Jackson, so we will show you guys the standings tomorrow, and we will have another round of picks against the spread. Hopefully we're able to catch you then. If not, Saturday will be our next post-game show, another 2 days off between Blazer games. That'll be against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hopefully we're able to catch you then. Until whenever we catch you next, hope everything's good. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.